Representative Glazier, I'm in with my quarter.
Put your quarter down for $1.
Questions?
Can you clarify the quarter? Is that the average amount people would pay?
The average amount that a median family would pay over the course of a year for the sales taxes already in existence, what they pay, is between $85 and $88 a year. So you do the math.
You're as stunned with this budget as we are. Laura?
This is not specifically about education, but as you know, there's a bill headed your way this afternoon that would sort of box the governor into a corner on a 13% budget cut in return for renewing those unemployment benefits, making that change in the law. Croc's have a position on this?
The gamesmanship have started early, and I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think that any of us intend to play that game. The governor, we're fully behind the governor in her position.
I guess
You spoke. You want to?
But no, I was just, Laura, you raised the question about what games that are being played now. Is that?
Microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry. You raised the question about the games that were being played now, and that's what they are, trying to paint picture in pockets that they think they can't get out of. But just the mere fact that they did put that on the chopping block, it says something about their values too, rather than what we're going to have to do in trying to maintain a clear course on this whole thing.
Well, what do you think it says about their values?
What
do you think it says about their values?
It says that they were willing to throw anything on the backs of people who could least afford it. You got 37,000 people out there that they were willing to put under the wheel in order to get what they want done.
you spoke about values. Clearly their value is no taxes. They've made that clear from the very beginning.
Above all else.
And that being said, if that's where they value their priorities, and playing under those parameters, what would you have liked to have seen different? It could be in the education budget or anything else with the numbers that they have.
Well, we wouldn't work with those target numbers. You cannot get there with the targets handed out by the, you cannot get to protecting education. They said they were going to create jobs and protect education. And they could do it with fraud, waste, and abuse. That was their campaign mantra. It has been shown clearly and without any doubt that those were just empty words, because now we're losing jobs and not protecting education. Those are not North Carolina values. That's not where North Carolina needs to be headed. We need a budget more in line with what the governor has proposed, keeping some of the temporary tax revenues over into this one additional year at least, in order to protect education from these horrendous, devastating, demoralizing cuts.
Can I speak about health? I have a question about health.
Yes.
Maybe somebody else from the health committee. But there were some provisions that were rolled out last night. One that would greatly restrict how Smart Start money could be spent. Another one as it relates to banning grants to Planned Parenthood. And I wonder if somebody could comment on those.
Representative Insko, Representative Rapp, anybody?
That's fine.
Thank you. And the impact on Smart Start is another important component of education. What the provision did was actually dismantle Smart Start by removing the ancillary functions like health care provision and vision screening, dental screening, the involvement of the families. We just had a recent report from Duke University researchers who've been following these children for about 20 years. There's irrefutable evidence that this is one of the best programs in the nation to get our children ready for elementary school. The motto is healthy and ready to learn when they go. So this the dismantling of the functions of Smart Start is a bigger impact than the cut in this instance. So you don't want to destroy a program and have to rebuild it. So, and these are the most critical years. The first 1,000 days of a baby's life are the most critical for the future of their education and their success. The provision about Planned Parenthood, about whether or not how much that curtails the services provided by Planned Parenthood. The chair said that they did not intend to curtail Medicaid at all, but there are other grants that we're looking into that might impact on the ability to provide services.
One person said this was just political grandstanding, resembling what was going on in Washington.
I think so. You know, 93, 97% of Planned Parenthood functions go toward health care, basic health care for women. A lot of women get blood pressure. They go for their primary care here. But mostly it's poor women, and once again, it's an attack on poor people. Very little of this money goes for any abortion services at all. No tax dollars go for abortion services of any kind. So what they're doing is taking away dollars for other kinds of services. Pap smears, cervical cancer screenings, basic health care, and it will affect low-income women.
Representative Rapp.
Thank you, Gary. I just want to make one comment as it relates to the early childhood and preschool. We had, as you know, a task force that worked over the last 2.5 years trying to create a seamless birth to kindergarten program. Our intent was never to cut slots, to cut participation in the program on the part of families. Ours was to try to create just that, a seamless birth to kindergarten program. What's been done with some of the data and information that's been taken there is it's been used to combine those two programs as a foundation for cutting them. And a 20% cut for more at 4, just very concretely, we estimated about 6,000 slots that could be lost as a result of that. That is unacceptable, and we need to fix that. Thank you.
Mark, get your hand up.
I guess what I was going to ask was, I mean, we've heard a lot of numbers about specific programs, teachers.
They're beginning to roll out. We're trying to learn as much as we can, just as you are.
And I guess the question I wanted to ask is, if I'm a North Carolinian who happens not to have a kid in public education or not to be reliant on one of these services, 2 years down the road, what difference does this make to me? How does this state look different to me if I'm not in one of these very directly affected groups?
Well, I don't think there's anyone in this state who won't be affected by the cuts in this budget. You'd have to search high and long. And government is what we all do together. We do public education together. We do community colleges together. We do Medicaid together. That's what government is. And we do it all together. And so it's a shared enterprise, and we should not abandon that. Our people don't want to abandon that. It's not a North Carolina value. Anyone else?
I've heard the leadership say that money isn't always the answer, that more money doesn't mean better results. And then they point to the high dropout rates and poor test scores as evidence of that performance was needed, not money. How do you respond to that?
You certainly can't get there without the teachers and without the support personnel in the schools, without the teacher assistants. We have been improving our schools steadily, gradually but steadily over a number of years. This sets us way back. The number of years that it sets us back, you can argue about. Is it 20 years? Is it 15? Is it 30? But there's no doubt that it sets North Carolina public education back many, many years. You want to add to that, Rick?
Well, I'm always reminded that the people who generally say that money doesn't matter are the people who have it. But that having been said, if anybody's in a classroom and you're looking at the class sizes that are going to have to be increased, the classes that won't have a teacher assistant, the supplies that won't be available, the courses that won't be available, students who can't graduate in 4 years now and have to wait 5 years, there is no way, logically or rationally, for anyone to conclude that money doesn't matter. We now, and have moved because of everything that's happened, and with this budget this year, would pay the 5th lowest salaries in the country to our teachers. We would also end up paying about the 4th lowest to our community college faculty. Now, everyone can talk what they want, but at some point, at some base level, money matters. Leandro indicates constitutionally, money matters. And quite frankly, it's only the people who are unwilling to talk about getting the revenue side of this equation going. They're the only people that you talk to who will say that money doesn't matter.
Representative Glazier, some follow-up for you. You mentioned something about teacher cuts, and my understanding is that through the budget, that the only teacher cuts are passed, but that this protects teachers. But I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, that is the nicest thing I will say is certainly a line in the budget that was with good intent, but is simply inaccurate. With the line item cuts that have occurred, number one, in all of those categories we talked to you about, and then to compound that with what amounts to a $40 million additional hit to local districts and then a $100 million hit, where are they going to get the money? 83% of all education dollars are in people, and the vast majority of that is in teachers and classroom personnel. There is no other place to go to get the money. They have stripped away every other capacity there. And it's on top of which the loss of the federal stimulus money and the loss at the local level. There is no other place to go, and for anyone to say that is wrong. And also, all those other categories that we talked about where they've got 10, 15, 20, 30% cuts, go back and look at them. The vast majority of those categories are teachers. And so there are thousands and thousands of teachers who are going to lose their jobs as a result of this budget.
So the provisions don't protect them.
They are not protected. Representative Ross.